Close your eyes. No, wait, keep them open. You need to see this. Imagine the deepest hour of the night, the kind of dark that feels solid. You are Elva Zona Heaster, 23 years old, newlywed, and in this moment you are dying. The last thing you feel is not your husband's touch, but the crush of his hands on your throat. The last sound you hear is not a prayer, but the sickening crack of your own neck breaking. Our story begins not with a scream, but with a quiet mystery. Zona Heaster lived with her mother, Mary Jane, in a tight-knit community where everyone knew everyone's business. Then a new man arrived, Erasmus Shue, a blacksmith, charismatic, strong, but with a past that drifted behind him like a bad smell. Rumors of a temper, a previous wife who left. But for Zona, he was a fresh start. They married quickly in the autumn of 1896. For a few short months, life seemed normal. Then, on January 23, 1897, a neighbor boy was sent to the Shue house on a routine errand. He found the front door unlocked. He called out. A silence. He stepped inside. What he saw in that hallway would haunt him for the rest of his days. Zona Heaster Shue was lying at the bottom of the stairs. Her body was twisted. Her head was turned at an impossible angle. Her eyes were wide open, staring at nothing. The boy ran. He fetched Shue, who was working nearby. And here is where the horror begins to curdle. He cradled Zona's body, weeping. He carried her to the bedroom. He insisted on dressing her for the funeral himself. He barred the door. He brought up a specific, stiff, high-necked collar and a veil, items no one had seen Zona wear in life. He positioned her head carefully on a pillow, as if to support it. When mourners came to view the body, he was a constant, looming presence at the coffin, cradling her head, adjusting the veil if anyone got too close. A portrait of profound grief, or of a man hiding a secret. But one person saw through the performance. Mary Jane Heaster, Zona's mother. From the moment she saw her daughter in that coffin, a cold certainty settled in her bones. The way the head lolled. The bruises she thought she glimpsed beneath the carefully arranged collar before Shue swooped in. Mary Jane didn't believe her daughter had fallen. She believed she had been murdered. And she had no evidence, no witness, no hope, only a mother's rage and a desperate prayer. The night after the funeral, Mary Jane went to bed, begging for a sign, for the truth. And that night, her prayer was answered. In the dead of night, a presence filled the room, a light, and at the foot of her bed stood her daughter. This was not a dream. Mary Jane would swear this on her life and her soul until the day she died. For 4 nights, the apparition returned, and on the 4th night, it spoke. He was angry over a trivial supper, cold meat. He flew into a rage, his hands so strong, he broke my neck, he dragged my body, laid me at the stairs to make it seem a fall. Mother, my neck, look at my neck. Mary Jane awoke, gasping. The room was empty, but the message was burned into her mind. Her daughter had been murdered by Shue, and she had given her mother a forensic clue, the broken neck, a detail no one knew, a detail the high collar had hidden. A mother's intuition had become a ghost's testimony. Mary Jane took her story to the local prosecutor, John Preston. He thought she was a superstitious, grieving woman, but her story was so specific, so persistent, and there was Shue's bizarre behavior, enough to dig, literally. Weeks after burial, Zona Heaster's body was exhumed for an autopsy. In a crude, makeshift examination, The county doctor performed his grim work. Trout Shue, ever present, protested violently. He had to be restrained. The doctor peeled back the high collar. The finding was irrefutable. He examined the neck. The hyoid bone, a small U-shaped bone in the throat, was crushed. The ligaments of the neck were torn. This was not the injury from a fall down wooden stairs. This was the signature of manual strangulation, of powerful, hateful hands squeezing the life from a young woman. Mary Jane's ghost story was medical fact. The trial of Erasmus Shue was a sensation. The state presented its physical evidence, the broken neck. They presented Shue's suspicious behavior. And then they put Mary Jane Heaster on the stand. The prosecutor did not ask her about ghosts. He asked her, "What made you so certain your daughter's neck was broken?" She told her story, calmly, clearly. She spoke of the 4 visits, of the apparition clutching its own neck. The defense mocked her, called her insane with grief. But the seed was planted in the minds of the jury. They had the medical proof. Now they had a reason, a terrifying, supernatural reason for how a mother could know. We, the jury, find the defendant, Erasmus Stribling Trout Shue, guilty of murder in the 1st degree. Trout Shue was sentenced to life in prison. He died there just 3 years later, reportedly of a mysterious epidemic, still proclaiming his innocence. Mary Jane Heaster lived out her life, never doubting the truth her daughter brought her from beyond the. So, what do we make of the Greenbrier Ghost? A grieving mother's hallucination, given shocking weight by a coincidental autopsy. A collective folktale that wrote itself into the legal record, or is it something else? The facts are carved in stone in court documents. A woman was murdered. Her killer was caught. And the clue that broke the case came from a source the court could never officially cite. It came from a dark bedroom, from a figure at the foot of a bed, from a voice in the night whispering of a broken neck. This story endures because it forces a terrible, haunting question. When all hope is gone, when justice is blind, what would you believe if the only witness was already in her grave?